What is going on, everyone? My name is Jason, and this is the new iPhone SE versus the iPhone 11. So without a doubt, last year Apple debuted one of the greatest iPhones they've ever put together, the much-loved iPhone 11. This phone was built to flagship standards, had the fastest processor available in 2019, and arguably the best camera quality on any smartphone. And it could be yours for a very reasonable $699. Now, of course, I picked one up when it first dropped, and it became clear to me pretty quickly that the iPhone 11 was probably one of the best value iPhones ever made. It definitely punched above its weight, and was a no-brainer choice over the way more expensive iPhone 11 Pro models, which was something I didn't necessarily expect. So you can imagine my surprise when Apple dropped this guy, the new iPhone SE. The successor to the popular compact phone launched back in 2016, the new SE comes similarly packed with a premium built-in design and a similarly performing camera to the iPhone 11, all for an insanely reasonable price tag of $399. Now, before you get to thinking that it's an easy choice between the two, it really only takes one glance to understand that these iPhones are not the same, and I wanted to do a review comparing the two to see which one is better for you. Now, before we get into the review, if you're into checking out the latest consumer tech products before you buy them, or if you're just a tech head like me, I make a video like this every single week, so make sure to hit that thumbs up button, and don't forget to subscribe so you can be the first to know when a new JSL review is out and you don't miss anything. And quick question for you guys. Before I get into my conclusions at the end, which one do you think is a better value? The proven iPhone 11 or the much hyped new SE? Curious to get your thoughts. Let me know what you guys are thinking in the comments down below. Okay, first off, let's talk about physical design. From a build material perspective, both phones are virtually identical. But the 11 and the new SE come with Apple's signature glass-on-glass aluminum design, and despite the price difference, they're both masterfully put together. No blemishes on the colored frames, perfectly integrated glass panels, and they're both legitimately beautiful to look at. Whether it be the ultra stealthy all black or the Ferrari-esque product red, both the 11 and the SE really knock it out of the park when it comes to overall build. Where you start to see the first immediate difference is the size. As the new SE uses the frame of an older iPhone 8, it's significantly smaller in dimensions, especially when comparing to the noticeably larger iPhone 11. Now, I personally love the size of the 11. I usually prefer larger phones, and I feel as though the dimensions really hit the sweet spot where I could reap all the benefits of a larger device without it being overcomplicated to use. The size of the SE is no doubt small for 2020, but it is easier to use with one hand and way less bulkier to carry around, perfect for those looking for a more compact, lightweight device that's still premium in the hand. Now, the size difference is compounded when factoring in screen to body ratio, as the new SE has the classic forehead and chin with a home button, while the 11 has the more modern and cleaner edge-to-edge display. To put it plainly, the 6.1-inch display of the iPhone 11 dwarfs the tiny 4.7-inch display of the new SE, and the difference is inescapable. The 11 is way more immersive to use, and more in line with the modern smartphone aesthetic of 2020, while the new SE is, well, expectedly dated. Everything is way more compact, and it understandably feels like I'm using an older phone. But that's not to say that it's bad really. The smaller display and physical home button duo is a proven design, and much like riding a bike, I was zooming through iOS like I did back when I had the iPhone 6, and it is nice to be able to comfortably use a modern iPhone with one hand. At the end of the day, I think it really comes down to preference. If you've already made the leap to larger, all-screen type of phones, you're gonna enjoy the 11 way better, but if you've avoided bulky devices and have been waiting for a new, but smaller iPhone to be made, the SE is gonna hit the nail on the head. Now let's go back to the displays for a second to talk about quality. Size difference aside, you have very similar displays here, and let's be frank, that's not particularly a good thing. Yes, both the iPhone 11 and the new SE both have sub 1080p LCD displays. Despite their dimensional resolutions being different, they both come in with a pixel density of 326 ppi, not exactly something to boast about in 2020. And I'm not going to try and make an argument that these are class-leading displays or anything nutty like that, because they're clearly not, but I've always stood firm that for most consumers, these are totally fine. Both displays are sharp, both support the P3 color gamut, both have True Tone if you're into that, and both can get reasonably bright. HD video content consumption is still enjoyable, and really only trained eyes will be able to notice any serious display blemishes. To me, the difference really comes back to size. You can see here that the display on the 11 is so much more immersive. It really makes for a different user experience, especially when gaming and watching video. You do have a notch that you have to deal with though, that I know can drive some people crazy, and though you have a much smaller screen to work with on the SE, it's completely notch free. But if you do use your phone as your primary device to watch video, play games, or consume other multimedia content, the iPhone 11 is going to be a better fit, and to me, worth paying the extra dollars for. Okay, next let's talk about performance. Again, you're going to see a strong similarity between the iPhone 11 and the new SE, mainly due to the fact that they're both equipped with Apple's powerhouse A13 Bionic chip. Apps load quickly, navigating around the UI is a breeze, gaming on either phone is buttery smooth, and the real spec-intensive camera features around Apple's image processing work so well, most are probably going to be unaware of just how much power these features require. All that being said, we gotta throw some kudos to the iPhone SE. To be equipped with the same processor as the 11 and the 11 Pro for that matter, at a fraction of the price is undeniably good value, and it's probably the most powerful phone by a far margin in this price point. That being said though, not all areas of performance are the same on these two phones. When it comes to battery life, the 11 blows the SE out of the water. I've never had an issue getting through a day of use with the 11, even when I'm really putting the phone to the test, and it's been really nice not having to worry about charging in the middle of the day. Now a big part of that is due to the 11 having a physically larger battery, but even though the new SE has a smaller display, its battery life struggles to keep up with the standards of 2020. I wouldn't go so far to say that it's bad, as you can get through the day semi-comfortably with moderate use, but if you're a power user, you're going to want to pick up a battery pack or have a charger on you if you're out and about often. The new SE does get some points though for supporting 18-watt quick charging and wireless charging, features that can be deemed luxury items given its price tag, but depending on the type of user you are, it is going to be important that you factor in the difference in overall battery performance. Now the other major difference between both phones is their security features. While the 11 has Apple's new Face ID security system, the new SE uses its old Touch ID technology. Truth be told, I've always enjoyed Touch ID. It's super fast, and haptic feedback that the phone gives is seriously like magic. But if I had to choose between the two, Face ID would win me over. Yes, it's not as fast, but it's so seamlessly integrated into the user experience, you honestly don't even know that it's there. I wasn't always sold on Face ID, but I truly think it's now one of Apple's best executed features. But I do recognize it's not for everyone, and I also know that some of you have an unhealthy obsession with the home button, so it really comes down to preference. Okay, last, let's talk about the cameras. And let's start with the differences first. As far as the front-facing cameras go, both the 11 and the new SE have single-shooter selfie cameras, with the clear advantage going to the 11 here. It has a 12-megapixel sensor as opposed to the SE's 7. It could take advantage of the equipped depth sensors that's part of the Face ID hardware for more true-to-life portrait photos, and it could shoot 4K video at up to 60 frames per second. The 11's front-facing camera can also take advantage of software features unavailable in the new SE, such as next-generation Smart HDR and extended dynamic range at 30 frames per second. Now the front-facing camera on the SE may not be as advanced, but it's no slouch either. Images come out sharp, portrait mode works just as well, and despite being capped at 1080, video still looks really good. I am noticing that the SE will process the image a little more. You can tell if you punch in a little bit that there's not as much detail in comparison to the 11, but it's not a major difference in my opinion. Now video quality on the 11 is going to be better with the 4K resolution, and it handles dynamic range better, especially when shooting in overexposed areas. But again, it wouldn't be fair to say that the video quality on the SE is bad. It's more like the video quality on the 11 is just really good, probably the best on any phone right now. Now in terms of the rear cameras, the main difference of course is going to be the hardware. While the new SE has a single 12-megapixel wide-angle camera on the back, the iPhone 11 has a dual lens setup, one standard 12-megapixel wide-angle, and a 12-megapixel ultra-wide. No lie, the addition of the ultra-wide is a nice to have. It's way more useful when you're shooting landscapes, and though I don't use it all the time, I do like having it and I use it more than a zoom lens. But as far as hardware advantages over the SE, that's really about it. The SE's rear camera has the same megapixel count, it can take portrait mode shots of people but nothing else, which I'm okay with, and can impressively shoot 4K video in either 24, 30, or 60 FPS, just like the class-leading 11. And both the still images and video quality are almost one-to-one. And again, that's really impressive for the SE given the price difference. Arguably one of the most important factors for a lot of consumers when it comes to picking a phone is camera quality, and there's no denying that what you're getting on the cheapest iPhone is nothing less than incredible. Now there is one more big difference when it comes to the cameras that I'd be remiss not to talk about, and that's low light performance. As the iPhone 11 can leverage Apple's new night mode, which again is extremely well executed, it takes way better pictures than the SE in low light conditions, as the SE isn't equipped with this new technology. It's a big deal if you take a lot of still, non-moving images at night, which let's be real, not many people do, so it shouldn't take away from the SE's luster when it comes to having a phenomenal overall camera. So at the end of the day, which iPhone is better for you? The iPhone 11 or the new iPhone SE? If you've already transitioned to a larger all-screen phone, go with the iPhone 11. It's gonna be pretty jarring going back to a compact phone like the SE that has a massive forehead and chin, and you'll likely not enjoy it as much as you would the 11. Plus you get all the latest bells and whistles, and it's a better future-proofed phone. But if you're one of those people who've been actively avoiding newer iPhones because they're either too big or you can't live without the home button, then the new SE is a no-brainer upgrade. It's an extremely powerful phone that will give you all the modern updates you care about at a very reasonable price. For me, I ultimately think that the 11 is a better phone overall. It's an extremely well-equipped device that I think is generally more enjoyable to use for most, and despite being more expensive, it's still to me priced pretty well. Now I do think that the new SE is a better value overall, just because it is so cheap and you're getting such a capable, accessible phone, but there are some considerable trade-offs with the SE that would personally push me to save the extra dollars and go for the more expensive 11. But hey, those are my thoughts. Which one do you think is a better value? And which one would you guys end up choosing? Let me know what you guys are thinking in the comments down below. Okay, that's about it for this review. Don't forget to leave me a thumbs up if you guys found it useful, it really helps me out. If you guys have any questions about the new iPhone SE or the iPhone 11, leave them down in the comments and I'll be sure to get to you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.